What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is the Fox Silver of Raw With It podcast. And we're just recording the show today. Talk about a little of this, a little of that, a little there, a little there, just to be kicking and everything. Been away for a little while, as usual. Sorry to make these streams so far out, but I have a demanding work schedule. I hope everybody is doing fine. Give a big shout out to the Facebook family, TikTok family, YouTube family, Instagram family, and Twitch family. And if I forgot, what's up, family? Peace, peace, peace. Yeah, y'all, I'm just kicking it a little bit on my home time. It seems like that's the only time that I'm able to do any type of recording and stuff because that's the only time I have free time is when I'm not working. But I'm going to try to make it better. Uh, one of the things that I want to talk about is some of the posts that I put up in the past and everything. And a lot of my posts are like relationship basis and stuff. And my whole mission is to bring couples together, not divide them, if anybody was wondering. So I'm going to put up a lot of stuff that is going to be a little bit controversial just to get folks talking about it and stuff. It doesn't mean that I agree or disagree with what I'm posting. But what I do agree with is the conversation to talk about it. You know, I had one of my friends said that it seems like you're dividing, you're creating a platform to divide couples instead of bringing them together, instead of teaching them about love. And I'm like, that's interesting because that is the total opposite of what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm trying to dismiss all of the stereotypes that go on between men and women. And I'm trying to reconnect the part that was disconnected in the past from all of these horrible stories that exist in relationships. And I know it's horrible stories. Everybody go through some type of traumatic times in relationships, but it seems like that's what get the most press, the bad stuff. And I'm trying to pump up the good stuff. But sometimes in order to get to the good stuff, at least you gotta address the issues. You know what I'm saying? So that's my little PSA, but hope everybody's doing good. Um, this is the beginning of September. I think in a few days it's going to be 9/11. And New text message from last month, uh, not last month. This is in July. Class of '85, playing from New Jersey. We had our reunion, and it was the bomb. It was the bomb. Had a real good time. And like I said before, I was trying to get a group of people together so that we can keep that energy flowing and going. So far, for all of those that are interested in knowing, I got about 6 concrete individuals from the class of '85, and that's including myself, that are going to be a part of the group, that will be throwing parties, that will be assisting and funding class of '85 events, particularly our next reunion whenever they decide to do our next reunion. So we're gonna make sure that everything is just as fabulous as it was this past time. And shout out to the class of 85, 40th reunion committee. They did their thing. Big ups to y'all. Um, so back to my topics when we're talking about relationships, y'all. Now, believe it or not, and this may be strange, but there are people that are middle aged that are still single. Ain't that something? Can you believe it? But yeah, there's still people in their middle age that are single, you know? And I'm not saying that, and I'm middle aged and I'm single, and I'm not saying that middle aged folks can't find love. I'm just saying that when it comes to finding love, we are real particular about who we choose to be with because we want to eliminate all of that extra stuff that's unnecessary. You know what I'm talking about. All of that BS because when you get middle age, you ain't trying to put up, you don't have to put up with the BS. So of course, you're not trying to be down with nothing that is going to disrupt your peace, period. You know? So to get to that point, we have to get past all of the weeds. And the weeds would be those fears and those precautions that cause us to make sure that this individual ain't got no issues, whatever the issues could be, like the red flags and stuff. It's like you're walking on eggshells or you walking on glass. Either you don't want to make a lot of noise or you don't want to hurt yourself ultimately. So it's it's being real. It's being open enough where you're not offensive to the person that you want to be honest with, you know? And I think that right there just might be the issue because you like somebody, right? You like somebody and you want to tell them about you, but you don't want to scare them off. So a lot of people said, well, you don't give them all of your truths at one time. I agree. I agree. You probably need to ease it in. You know what I'm saying? Ease your truths in because not saying that they're not going to accept it, but it just might be too much to chew at one time. You know what I'm saying? So if it's too much to chew, you got to baby spoons, or what they say, spoon feed somebody. They can't. Don't give them the fork. Mm-mm. Don't use the fork. Spoon feed, because some of it is just too damn much. You know. Then you want to decide what to tell. That's another issue. What do you say? What don't you say? Personally, I think that, I mean, in whatever you do, you got to ease into stuff. You know what I'm saying? You just can't shove truth down somebody's throat. It's too much. Be 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 conscious of those things. Okay. Oh shit. I'm burning myself. I was eating a bagel, y'all, so I may still have some bagel crumbs on me. But one of the things is if you are not healed from something in your past and you think you healed, you need to test it out. I ain't figured out how you need to test it out, but maybe the test might be just being honest to yourself. Am I ready to enter into a relationship? Am I over that hurt and that pain? Do I want to invite somebody in my space? A lot of folks in their 50s are very selfish. Yeah, I said it. A lot of us in our middle age, we are selfish with our time. Now, if you want to know what that means that you've gotten used to a routine, right? And in this routine, you do things that are comfortable for you and peaceful. So now, when you're inviting somebody in your life and you're making time for that individual, most of the time, they're going to be in that space that might be peaceful idle time for you. Are you willing to share that? Because you may think you're willing to share that, and then when you share that, you start getting real short with that individual because you'd rather be doing something else. You rather have that time to yourself. So you got to make sure you're willing to share your time. You know, if that's not what you're trying to do, you need to be honest with yourself first and then with the individual that's trying to get in a relationship with you. You know, one thing that I learned in these 58 years, I was speaking to my aunt, my 85-year-old aunt, and she made a statement that was profound. She said that she's learned that there are no rules. There are no rules when it comes to certain things. So let's apply that to love. There are no rules. You may think there's a template, you're supposed to do this and everything, but in the mix of that, man, what you thought was how things were supposed to go is totally different on how the things go. Like that wasn't in the rule. How many times y'all said that wasn't in the rule book? Because it wasn't. It ain't no damn rules. A lot of times you make up stuff as you go. Everybody's custom, you know. Everybody is different. You know, what worked for some don't work for many. What worked for many don't work for a few. So you got to customize all of that. Truthfully, you have to customize that. And if a relationship is what you're looking for, you really got to prepare yourself to be in a relationship, right? So how do you do that? You need to visualize it. You need to visualize how you're going to be. You need to visualize how you're going to be in different situations with the person you're trying to date. You're going to have to visualize how it's going to be if you get into a disagreement. You got to think about how you feel how you're going to feel during the disagreement, after the disagreement. Because a lot of times people are like, I ain't got to deal with this, screw this, on to the next. And if it's that serious, I agree. But sometimes it's just we be in our feelings, and we done got so used to our bullshit that we think everybody else should be used to our bullshit too. You know what I mean? And that ain't keeping it real. That's keeping it bullshit. That's keeping it with the straight bullshit, but I think honesty is definitely the way to go in the beginning, and sharing your honesty. Don't hit them with everything at once. Might be too much. You know what I'm saying? Might be too much. You know, and I mean, you got to fill it out. Some people able to do it, some people not able to do it. But you gotta let the person know if this is what they're willing to get into and get involved with. Because a lot of people got a lot of stuff going on, and it'd be a lot. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be the hero. You know, and then you got some that are just looking for the hero. That's the messed up part. Intentions are all wrong. Your objective is all wrong, totally wrong. I think we need to go back to the original way of getting to know one another. If it's going to be of any substance, you know what I'm saying? I think there's one. Here's one for you. If you want substance, use substance. If you want it to be meaningful, then be meaningful. If you want it to be casual, don't fake being meaningful. Because casual and meaningful are two different things. Some people just want casual, and that doesn't mean going around sleeping with everybody that you go out. All right. That doesn't mean that. That just means you want to go out and just have a nice, good social time. Period. Ain't got to be nothing else. A nice social outing. That's all. It ain't got to be physical. Now, we all grown. We're not in our 20s. We're not in our 30s. For those that's over 40, we ain't in our 40s. We 50 something. We grandparents. Some of us are great grandparents. Ain't that a bitch? But I'm just saying, be mature. Be mature with your decisions. Be mature with your thinking. Some stuff is unrealistic that folks think about. And that's where you're going to come into a problem, because you got unrealistic goals, unrealistic thoughts, and you're going to have unrealistic results. Period. Keep that shit a buck. Keep that shit a buck. You will relieve yourself of unwanted irritation, aggravation, frustration, and headaches. Trust me. Trust me on this. At this age, y'all, we should be cruising. You know, we should be cruising, chilling. Which brings me to to this thought. That group I'm putting together, man, all we doing is trying to create events so that we are chilling, so that we are cruising, so that we are having a good time. And that is it. And still, if you want to be a part of it, please get in touch with me. Get in touch with me. I don't even know what my, hold on. Call, send me a text to this number. Hold on. Damn, that's small. You're gonna be calling my Raw with a Podcast line. Send me a text to this number, 786-219-8205. That is really small. That is really small. Why get these cars made so that almost looks like a one? Can y'all see that? See it up there? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that. But that's 786-219-8205. That's the Raw with It Podcast line. And that is also the number for folks that are trying to be a part of the event group for the class of 85. Just get in touch with me. And what's this, September? By the end of September, I hope to have everybody that's going to be a part of it. After that, then we'll start scheduling the Zoom meetings and so on and so forth, so that folks can know what's happening with what we intend to plan and stuff. But Raw with a Podcast is about positivity. We are not about the bullshit. We're not about junk. Excuse me. We're not about spreading gossip or these bad stereotypes when it comes to men and women. We're not doing that. That ain't who we are. Now we're gonna have fun. We definitely have fun in the podcast and the topics and everything. That's what we do. And I am not creating a platform to divide couples. Absolutely not. That is not the agenda. It's actually to bring couples together. And just like the name of the podcast, Raw. We raw with it. We're gonna keep it raw. And sometimes it don't sound nice. We're not trying to water it down. We're trying to let you know what it is. 100%. No chaser. Raw with it. All right, everybody. So I think I'm going to end this topic for this podcast. I'm going to end that. All right. And then there'll be more coming up. Once again, for those that want to be a part of the group that's putting the events and parties together for the class of 85 in Plainfield, New Jersey, call 786-219-8205, or you can also call 786-219-8205 if you have any advice or any topics you want us to talk about. All right. Peace, y'all. The Fox Silver here, Raw with a Podcast. And we're out.